What's going on, everybody? It's Joe from the Acceptable Casualties. Here to give you guys a little look at some of the desert sand from Vallejo. It's kind of like that thick mud product that they have, except this is obviously a sand version of it. So I ended up picking this up about a week ago. I got it with the intent of doing my bases for my gladiators and then use it for some terrain and stuff like that I'm going to be building in the future. So I got it. It was like, I think 11 bucks or 12 bucks on eBay is what I found it for. Pretty much the same price as the other stuff. The labeling's different, but it's the same product from Vallejo. So I picked it up. I put it on a couple of my gladiators, and it went pretty well. So first, I'll show you guys what the stuff actually looks like. So I'll try to angle it here so you guys can see it. It really just looks like a thick vat of like this doughy paint, but when you actually take it out and apply it, it has a really nice mix of sand in there. It's kind of gritty to the touch, and the application for it, it's a little on the tough side if you're doing bases, so you kind of got to be careful because it doesn't spread as easy as the mud, because I think it's a little grittier and it's not as wet as the mud. So it sticks to things a little bit more when you put it on the base. It's a little bit harder to deal with than the mud, but like, if as long as you're patient with it, you can totally get it done and not have any issues. It's just something you don't want to rush through when you're applying it. So keep that in mind if you guys do check it out. But yeah, like I said, I got this. I put it on all my gladiator models. I ended up rebasing all of them. So here's a better look. I'll try to block the light so you guys can kind of get a better view of it. All right. So on here, the texturing on there, it goes on. It doesn't look like there's a lot of texture to it, but as it dries and the moisture gets sucked out of it and the grit's still left, if you do like a little dabbing technique with like an old brush or something like that on there, you can really pull out like these cool little sand creases and textures. You can even get like that desert ripple look if you guys wanted that, or like footprints or anything like that. It all works really, really well if you're willing to put the time into it and do it. This was actually really, really easy to kind of get the look that you want. The first couple models that I did, they didn't come out that great, but they didn't come out bad either. But once you kind of get used to working with the texture, after a couple models and a couple bases, or even just do some practice ones before you really get into it, you can get some really cool effects as far as, like I said, breaking this up. And like when you apply it at first, it kind of goes on. I don't know how I can describe it. When you put it on, you're going to be able to do the dabs and the little markings, but they're not going to look as fine and detailed until it really starts drying out a little bit. And once, like I said, once the moisture kind of starts to leave that top layer of the sand, it really starts to take effect. But you have to be patient with it. It's going to take like an hour maybe for like to really start to solidify and lose some of that gooiness that happens when you put it in there. But like I said, it's really good if you're doing desert stuff. I recommend picking it up, even if you're doing like Flames of War bases or anything like that. Here's another look in the inside. It works really well for it. For the basing purposes. I'm going to see how it does on, like, I get to like larger pieces of terrain, and I'll show you guys that once we start getting into building the arenas and some of the other stuff that we're doing with the gladiators, and I'll show you guys how that plays out on a larger scale. Hopefully we can get the same results with that. I think we will. Just might be a little bit of a learning curve, like I said, because this seems like it's a little more work putting this together compared to the thick mud acrylics. But yeah, if you're looking for some kind of sand texturing or sand basing, and you don't want to do the tried and true way of just throwing down some actual sand or some grit and then painting over it, this works really well. I'm actually pretty happy with how this turned out. So I would definitely recommend picking up the Desert Sand by Vallejo. This is the wrapper it comes in. This is the wrapper for the other like thick mud and stuff like that. So like I said, this has a very different labeling to it, but it is what it is. It's desert sand. It's just the sand version of the mud stuff. So yeah, check it out for sure. It's worth 10, 12 bucks. The amount of the stuff that you get in here, you'll be able to do, bases until the cows come home, and then probably throw together a couple pieces of terrain as well. So yeah, so check it out. Guys, got any questions about it? Just feel free to shoot me a message or an email or something like that, and I'll try to point you guys in the right direction, or maybe show you guys some more pictures if you're really that interested in it. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.